can get started as folks join in. So thank you all for coming. Thanks team for helping host this and put this together so quickly. Yeah, we're really excited to be able to share with our partners some new and exciting changes here on the retention.com team. So we've got a quick introduction from Adam, and then Tyler will dive into the changes that we've made to Reclaim, one of Retention's core products, and then we'll open the floor up for questions. So I will hand things off to Adam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam, the founder and CEO of retention.com. And who's controlling this slide? Am I? Is somebody else?
That'll be me.
Okay. So we made this change. I realized that it was sudden. I have been informed by Megan that it was too sudden for externally. I've been informed by other people in the organization that it was too sudden internally. Noted, we are still getting used to having this many interested and affected parties when we do things. We were operating with a very small team, much smaller customer base, a year ago. So I will make sure that this is handled in a better way in the future. But to go over the reasons why I wanted to push it so quickly, we did a very small test, and with like 100% of the test cases, there was significantly enhanced revenue per send on the reclaim flows. So cart view, it was like 10% higher revenue on 50% less sends. In product view, it was 15% high revenue on 70% less sends. So improved overall flow system revenue system wide. And for any of you who have gotten into an active dialogue with Klaviyo about our products, depending on who you're talking to, there is definitely a little bit of friction. I wanted at least one of the two main things that we're doing to be undeniably okay for our customers to use. And to give you an example of why, there's a situation last week where a customer really wanted to use both of them. They were in a deep dialogue with a rep about it. That rep happened to say, don't use Grow. But unlike before we made this change, they went back and said, well, look, Reclaim is fully AUP compliant. The Klaviyo rep agreed with them, okayed them to use Reclaim, and then, maybe they just use Grow at some point in the future, maybe not, who knows. But the idea is that I want to get more stuff that they love to sort of draw attention away from this one thing that they don't really love that much. So that was the main reason, and we could achieve that while improving results and efficiency. So I thought it was just a no-brainer. And with that, I will pass it off to Tyler.
Hello, and glad you're all here to kind of walk through some of the nuts and bolts of what does this change actually do, what actually happened that's enabling those higher revenues on significantly less volume. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the basic way that Reclaim now works, right, is it builds this pool of first-party opted-in emails. And so when retention identifies users on your sites taking these lower in the funnel actions, it checks against that pool to see, is this user opted in, right? Or do we have an opt-in email? So in the old process or the old Reclaim, whatever email was identified with that user action, that would be passed to Klaviyo. And a lot of times that was a net new or a grow email. But in this new system, we really found out that, hey, for these users, a lot of them do have an opted in email. It's just not the one that was detected. So we kind of changed the tech to first still identify the user, but then find all other known emails for that user. So if I'm Tyler and I go to a site, it might identify Tyler at Gmail, but then we're going to go look and see, hey, there's a Tyler at Yahoo, there's a Tyler at Retention, etc. It's going to list all of those emails for that user, and then check and say, does any of these emails exist in the first-party opt-in pool? If so, it's going to associate that event to the opted-in email and pass that into the ESP. So one major change here, right, is if the user, or if there's no emails in that opt-in pool that match the user, we do not pass the Reclaim event. So slightly, lower total matches, but again, the quality is much, much higher. It's a much better email to use to address that user and to get eyeballs on your email. Go ahead and go to the next slide here. And so again, just walking through kind of step by step how it actually works, right? The user visits your site, they view a product or they add something to their cart. We're going to identify that user and then map all known emails associated to that user. Step 3, it's just going to do a quick check against the first party opt-in pool and say, hey, are any of these emails opted in for this client? If so, it's going to associate that event to the opt-in email, pass it to Klaviyo or your respective ESP, and then the reclaim flow will take over and trigger that series. Let's go ahead, go to the next slide. So yeah, how are we building this first party opt-in pool? This is a very crucial step, right? And there's 3 real contributors to how we build that pool of opt-ins. One is form fills, right? That's a great signal, but it's pretty low volume, but it does help to build that pool. The other is Shopify orders. So when a user actually places an order, we see that email that they used to place the order, we add it to the opt-in pool. And then the third one, and this is what contributes the most volume into this pool, is clicks from email to the web. So why this is important to kind of know and level set, right, is when a client first launches or a customer first launches, there's going to be 0 emails in that first party opt-in pool. So they're not going to see, the reclaim flows going gangbusters right at the start. It takes some time to build that pool, typically 2 to 3 weeks. And another important piece there is that they are actually sending emails, right? Like we had a client who launched with Reclaim. They didn't send a single email campaign for 2 weeks. And they're like, why is Reclaim so low volume? What's going on? It's like, well, there hasn't been hardly any clicks from email to web. So that first party opt-in pool is very small. But as that grows, as the just activity from your customer list and actions on site, it really ramps up in volume around the 3 to 4 week period after launch. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So how does this impact grow? Well, there's a couple ways. First is the grow volumes are going to be a lot lower, right? In the past, if we identified a user, that first email we identified, taking that action, we'd pass it in. As we've seen, a lot of the times those users already existed in your Klaviyo, but with a different email. So that cuts down the amount of net new emails being added, but greatly increases the quality. And so the real goal of Grow now is really to get customers active on your list. I almost think of it as like planting revenue seeds, right? So you get a net new contact. The most important thing is that they become an opener. That makes them eligible to receive future emails. And in the future, right, once they've been added to that first party opt-in pool and they take a reclaim event, they'll be added to the flow. That's where the real monetization comes in. So there's not a ton of monetization from that first welcome series or that initial outreach to the net new lead, but that's totally okay. It's more about getting them active on your list so that in the future, as they take events and interact with your brand, they get triggered one of the lower in the funnel reclaim flows, or even your original flow for add to cart, and become active and make purchases in that way. That's essentially the overview of what's going on and what really changed. Is that kind of key piece of, hey, we're not just going to send the email that was detected. We're doing a little bit more work on the back end to find what is the best email for this user. What email is opted in and is going to maximize your ability to get the eyeballs on your brand.
Thank you, Tyler. That's a really clear explanation. Yeah, so I know it's not the hugest update. It means a lot in terms of how our customers are able to use retention.com across the board. So we'd also like to open the floor up to any questions from the audience, any specifics. You have some experts here in the product that can really go in depth on any questions that you or your customers might have. Seeing any questions popping up in the question box.
Either we explained it really good or the chat's broken.
Yeah, well done, Tyler. Well done.
Incredible. Yeah, all right. Yeah, if there aren't any questions that are coming through, those are really the key updates. I know there were a couple more registrants, so we'll be sure to share out a recording of this for your broader teams as well. For anyone on your teams that couldn't attend either, you can always reach out to partners@retention.com with any product questions. But yeah, thank you all for your time and greatly appreciate it.